Okay, so good morning everyone and welcome to my talk, which is, as Laura's just said, Mind the Goop, and you can see here. But before we go into that, I'll give you a brief overview of who this person is that's stood in front of you. So I'm a co-founder of a female-led cybersecurity consultancy called ShiftKey Cyber. I've worked in cyber for the past 5 years. I have a background in risk, compliance and psychology. And as many of us in this room now, I wear many hats. I'm a partner, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I have a very important role as a cat mum. I'm also a friend and a colleague, so I'm more than my titles. So, what is Goop? Well, it's the good opinion of other people. We live in a world that's full of noise. We have people queuing up to give their opinion about almost everything, and it's become so overwhelming. It happens in all aspects of our lives, whether that be personal or professional. We receive Goop from our family, but generally that comes from a place of love. They want to protect us and make sure that we're making the right choices. We have Goop on social media platforms, telling us to live this way, that way, how to be healthy, how to get great health and well-being. But when did we decide that all these opinions should hold such significance in our life choices without firstly verifying the source of the information or questioning indeed if it is the right advice for us? As we go about our day to day, how do we navigate all this Goop? And how do we ensure it aligns with our values and who we're supposed to be and the person that we want to live up to, so that we live life on our own terms and not the expectations of others? And we'll explore this as we move on. On a daily basis, we're surrounded by loads of people. They could be work colleagues, loved ones, and friends. And who you choose to spend your time with can have a massive impact on your life. And I'm sure you've heard many times, we become who we surround ourselves with. Author and speaker Tony Robbins once said, "The quality of a person's life is most often a direct reflection of the expectations of their peer group." It's important to seek out those people in that group for mutual support and growth. The people that when the world feels heavy, or you want some guidance or feel vulnerable, will hold safe space for you for as long as you need it. These are the people who are invested in helping you and want to see you succeed, and being around those people who share your values, visions and goals, but those who will also challenge you. And this is so much more helpful than trying to change those who have an opposite agenda of yours. So as it says here, choose them wisely. They will be your anchors. How often when we receive information do we stop, silence the noise and pause so that we can listen to our own internal voice, the one that is aligned with our values and beliefs? How many times do we ask ourselves, does the information we're receiving serve or distract us? Does it align with our own ethics, values and aspirations? And more importantly, will the information take you toward your goals? So many of us fall into the trap of making wrong career choices based on others' opinions. Maybe you were drawn into a more creative career, but decided to become, let's say, a solicitor, because your parents thought that was more sensible and more in keeping with what they expected from you. Now, this happened to me when I was younger. All of my mum's side of the family are in the nursing profession. So yes, you've guessed it, I took myself off to be a mental health nurse. But after a few years, I decided to leave as I was feeling unhappy and unfulfilled. And I still remember to this day the emotion and the upset that I felt as I told my mum that I was leaving the profession. She didn't speak to me for 3 weeks, probably the longest 3 weeks of my life. And I was told I was ruining my life and making a huge mistake. Fast forward to today. I've had a lot of great experiences and I've learned a lot about myself. And I've done this by reflecting on the things that haven't gone so well. Although it seems scary as it did for me leaving nursing, we need to occasionally take a risk that at the time may not seem like it's the right move. But later, we come to realise it was actually one of the best decisions you made because you trusted yourself more than the opinions of others. And so I've accepted that I live a life on my own terms, and that when I make a decision and it doesn't go my way, it's absolutely my responsibility to own it, and it's on no one else. So as it says here, set your intention and say no to anything that isn't that. So a ship is always safe at the shore, but that is not what it's built for. We talk about building organisational resilience all the time in our roles, and we're fairly comfortable with that. But what are you doing to build your own internal resilience? How do you prioritise your mental health and well-being so that the good opinion of other people does not consume your thoughts and prevent you from moving forward? We generally go through life playing it safe. We're taught not to take risks because we may fail, so we're fearful of making the wrong decision. We stay comfortable in our safe spaces. And as it says here, a ship is safe at the shore. Part of building internal resilience is to understand our emotions and reflect on how we respond in certain situations, especially when we push ourselves out of our comfort zones. So ask yourself, how do you react when you take a risk and it doesn't work out how you expected? How do you take criticism? How do we deal with rejection? Do you try to keep the peace and become a people pleaser? Start taking note of how certain situations make you feel, and then begin to take control of your responses. And what you'll find is some situations will require no response, and some will need a more measured one. But it will be time well spent, trust me. When I first started trying to get into the industry, I experienced imposter syndrome, and I still do to this day. I mean, I'm probably experiencing it right now. I didn't feel worthy of anyone's time or attention. Who was I to have a career in cyber? I didn't even know anything. And so I stayed on the sidelines where I felt safe observing. It finally got to the point when I realised I wasn't moving forward, and I had to find the courage from somewhere to reach out to people for advice. So I took a risk, and I started asking for help. I grabbed my boat and I left the shore, and gradually my world started to change. Opportunities opened up, and as I grew more confident, my circle of contacts grew. And as time went on, one thing I did was prioritise where I spent my time and who and what I spent my energy on. Now, this was pivotal in my growth, and I began to say no more to the things in my life that didn't align with where I wanted to go and the person that I wanted to become. It's really important to note that no creates boundaries for what you're prepared to tolerate. And you'll notice people will respond to that. So start saying no to the things that do not align with your own values, so that when you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, you'll see how much calmer life feels and how much more freedom and control you have. So in the past, when I'd find myself in new environments or situations, I'd say yes to everything, because I was fearful that people would believe that I didn't want it enough, and I'm sure we can all relate to that. And it's because we've been told all our lives that if we don't seem eager, it's like we don't want something enough. But I actually found it quite liberating to start saying no to things, and it opened up more space for me, and it opened up more opportunities. There's never a right time, so take a leap of faith, trust the timing of your decisions, and be aware of your emotions, because at the end of the day, everything will be okay, and most importantly, you will be okay. I just want to ask the audience, when you think of the word authentic, what does it mean to you? What springs to mind? Yeah. Yeah. So you hear all the time, be your authentic self. You hear it on social media, you'll hear it all around you. And people just say it off the cuff. But what does it actually mean? People tend to live their lives based on obligations, roles, and expectations. Being authentic is when your thoughts, actions, and words are in alignment with who you are. It's when we present our true selves to the world without the need to fit in or impress others. But to get to that point doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and it takes effort. The author Bren Brown said, "Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, and the choice to let ourselves be seen." As human beings, we're usually afraid of displaying our fears and anxieties and are fearful of being judged by others. If we do not invest the time in our own internal resilience, as I mentioned previously, we will continue to seek external validation to justify our decisions. And rather than finding the courage to be true to who we are and living life as we want to live it. But we cannot talk about authenticity without touching on integrity. Integrity has been defined as adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, and honesty. Many of us on a daily basis make decisions that will define who we are and what we stand for. While some decisions are smaller than others, they will impact us all the same. When we live our lives with integrity, it means that we let our actions speak for who we are and what we believe in. Integrity is a choice we make, and it's a choice we must keep making every moment of our lives. It takes courage to challenge something that does not align with who you are. But if we choose to compromise, it can have far-reaching consequences for ourselves and those around us. Success is an inside job. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. This quote is from a great book I read by Bob Berg and John David Mann called The Go-Giver. When we stop questioning our worth and realise we are capable and worthy of so much more than we allow ourselves to believe, life begins to open up and opportunities will present themselves because we're not trying to force outcomes and live up to expectations of who we think we should be. In almost all situations, we see things as we are, not how they are. And so we carry our perceptions and beliefs about ourselves around the world because this is all we know and probably all we've ever known. When people say believe in yourself more, it more often than not just goes over our heads because the feeling of not being worthy or good enough can be so deep-rooted and feel heavy. So it's not an overnight fix. And this is the time you need the support of your anchors, as we discussed it earlier, the people that you trust, your trusted network. These feelings are often present when we search for a job. And this has happened to me on loads of occasions. Our fear of rejection often creates a blocker in our lives. When we get the confirmation of the interview, in our mind, immediately, we've shown up to the interview, we've messed up the interview, and we've been rejected, even before we set foot in the room. So how can we flip the internal script that we have constantly going on in our mind? We could start by adopting a growth mindset. View challenges and setbacks as opportunities for growth and learning. Emphasise the importance of effort and improvement rather than seeking perfection. Our inner dialogue is far more powerful than anything anyone can say to us. We are more capable than we give ourselves credit for, and we have the freedom to change the direction of our lives at any point by making a decision to. But it must be a decision made by us that aligns with who we are and what we stand for, not because it's the good opinion of other people. So, before I go into the 3 key takeaways, just like to leave just with a thought. So growing towards being independent of the good opinion of others doesn't mean you're above asking for advice. It simply means that you think critically about the advice that you're receiving and ask yourself, is this right for me? Does it serve me? So my 3 key takeaways for today. Take the risk and leave the shore. In order to grow, we need to step out of our comfort zones, but only do this when you feel ready and supported and you have your anchors around you that will guide you on your journey. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. External validation of your worthiness will be short-lived. Invest in yourself and build internal resilience. It will be time well spent. And finally, success is an inside job. Know your values and what you stand for. People will have an opinion of what you should do, but only you know what feels right for you. So trust that. Thank you very much for listening to my good opinion of the good opinion of other people. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions, comments?
I would say on the imposter syndrome, it's not imposter syndrome, it's systemic barriers. And I think I hear this a lot at conferences, all the conferences that women attend. Imposter syndrome, yes, there's confidence. There's systemic barriers, coming from a working class background into organisations. I don't think we recognise that enough.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about us, it's the system
that
is making it difficult and making us feel inadequate.
Absolutely.
Not included, etc.
Yeah.
So I like to, when I go to a future conference, just do a bit more acknowledgement about systemic barriers.
Yeah.
It's not all about an individual doing that.
Yeah.
Being there.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Right, another big round of applause for the bloody brilliant job.